I'm showing 1 minute.
We're all rolling in at the last minute today. Nice. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad. I was happy to do it. Okay, we have 9:30. Good morning. We'll call the meeting to order, the Western Water Regular Board meeting on November 19th, 2025. And may we have roll call, please?
Yes, thank you and good morning. Director Gardner. Director Torres. Director Dinstead.
Present.
Director Risby.
Good morning, I'm here.
President Roten.
And I also am here. Good
President
morning.
Roten, you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. I would like to invite up Josh Aguilar, Operations Technician. Is that a 4? I don't remember my my Roman numerals. Operations Automation Electrical Services Department to lead us in the pledge. And I'm
morning,
sorry, I
everyone.
said Josh. Do you go by Josh or
No,
Joshua?
I do go by Josh.
Oh, okay.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Josh, can you tell us a little about yourself?
Well, my name's Josh Aguilar, and I work in the Automation and Electrical Services Department, and I've had the pleasure of working for Western for just about 3 years.
Oh, very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for leading us today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Josh.
Okay, do we have any public comments?
I have received no written comments and no requests to speak.
All right, thank you. We'll move to the consent calendar. Do we have a motion? There's just the one item, A. We have a motion and a second, so whenever you're ready, we can vote.
Director Gardner. Director Torres.
Yes.
Director Dinstead.
Aye.
Director Risby.
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Barr, are there any items to be added to the agenda today?
There are no items to add.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll move to the action agenda. Item 7A, authorize the purchase of replacement construction equipment to ensure compliance with California Air Resources Board regulations.
Dean Standing Warrior is here to provide a staff report. This item did go through the engineering committee earlier this month. So, Dean?
Thank you, Tim. Good morning.
Good
Thank you
morning.
for the introduction. Morning, directors. Appreciate your time today, and good morning, staff and all present. As Tim mentioned, Dean Standing Warrior, our Deputy Director for Maintenance Operations here at Western. Here to discuss the purchase of replacement construction equipment to ensure compliance with the California Air Resources Board regulations. This item, as Tim mentioned, was discussed at the November 3rd Engineering Operation Water Resources Committee meeting. So staff are requesting 2 action items today from the Board of Directors this morning. The first being to approve a capital budget of $320,000 to purchase 1 mini excavator, 1 skid steer loader, and 1 equipment trailer under the asphalt replacement reserve of the Fleet Fund in accordance with the board-approved capital improvement and facilities plan for fiscal years 25 and 26. Secondly, authorize the general manager to execute a contract and open the associated purchase order with Quinn Company of Riverside, California for the new purchase of the said 1 new mini excavator, the new skid steer, and 1 new equipment trailer for amount not to exceed $320,000. So effective January 1, 2024, the CARB, California Air Resources Board, revised the end-use off-road diesel-fueled fleets regulation requiring the removal of Tier 0 and Tier 1 off-road vehicles from the fleet. Western Municipal Water District, currently has 10 off-road vehicles that are subject to this revised regulation. To maintain compliance and spread out budget impacts, staff have developed a plan to replace lower tier off-road vehicles over time. Western Water must remove an off-road vehicle from the fleet to reduce the emissions footprint prior to December 31st, 2025 this year. The non-compliant equipment will be strategically replaced with a combination of CARB-compliant equipment that will allow the operations team to complete its mission in a safe and efficient manner. Budget impact, as far as budget goes, the proposed budget of $320,000 for the new equipment is within the $350,000 allocated and the board adopted or board approved fiscal year 2025-2026 capital improvement and facilities plan, ensuring that the budget is adequately covered. A couple points we wanted to touch on this morning that are in the ND staff letter, and the first is the regulatory changes that have prompted staff to reevaluate the off-road equipment fleet. A component of the regulation requires the removal of Tier 0 and Tier 1 off-road vehicles from Western's fleet. Emission stringency levels for off-road engines are distinguished by the engine tier, starting with Tier 0 being the severest emission profile engine through the cleanest Tier 4. Western Water currently has 10 off-road vehicles that are subject to this regulation. As such, staff has created an annual asset replacement schedule to meet this obligation. You may remember last year at this time, really, we came to the board for one backhoe that was replaced last year that is now in service. To achieve fleet compliance, Western Water must initiate the removal of the lower tier vehicle by December 31, 2025. Second point wanted to touch on is the procurement and the leveraging of the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Agreement. In light of the requirement to remove an off-road vehicle from the fleet by the end of this calendar year, Western Water's purchase of an off-road mini excavator and skid steer loader will ensure continued water and wastewater service reliability and service efficiency during routine and emergency response events. Support the procurement of off-road construction equipment from Quinn Company, staff utilized the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Agreement for heavy construction equipment and related attachments and technology. This agreement was competitively solicited through a public procurement process and provides pre-negotiated pricing terms and conditions. Cooperative purchasing allows public agencies like Western Water to piggyback on existing contracts to meet competitive bidding requirements. This approach is consistent with Western Water's purchasing procedures and ensures compliance, cost effectiveness, and efficiency in the procurement process. Lastly, I wanted to touch on was Quinn Company has extended an optional trade-in offer for Western Water's lower tier off-road vehicle valued at $15,000. That was highlighted in attachment 2. Staff will assess this proposal and proceed if it is in the best interest of Western Water. Again, staff is requesting that the board approve the necessary project budget and execution of the recommended purchasing documents as spelled out at the top of the staff report. So with that, be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, before we take any questions, are there any public comments?
No public comments.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
I will move the item.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second, and Candace, whenever you're ready, please.
Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Torres,
Yes.
Director Dinstead,
Aye.
Director Risby,
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, appreciate the support.
thank you. We'll move on to item B, adopt a resolution authorizing pre-qualification of general contractors for projects with higher risk and/or technical complexity.
So this item also went to the November 3rd Engineering, Operations and Water Resources Committee, and Derek Kawai will present this item today.
Good morning, directors.
Good morning.
For this item, we're asking the board to consider adopting a formal pre-qualification process for certain construction projects. Normally, Western uses standard competitive bidding where any properly licensed contractor can submit a bid. That works well for most of our pipelines, our facilities, and any projects that are of a normal type of construction. However, state law also allows agencies to use pre-qualification steps in front of the bidding process. And this is intended specifically for projects where the technical complexity or operational risk is high enough that the district benefits from screening contractors in advance. This is not something that we would use broadly. The intent is very narrow. Pre-qualification would only apply when the general manager determines that a particular project has elevated risk involving complex mechanical or electrical systems, or will be constructed in an operating facility where failure or delays would directly affect Western's core services. For the majority of our capital work, the standard low bid process will continue unchanged. The Meridian Building Climate Control Project is a good example of why this tool is sometimes necessary. The work involves replacing 4 40-ton rooftop HVAC units, upgrading the heating, the boilers, addressing the building control issues, rehabilitating the roof, and keeping the Meridian building fully operational throughout construction. The project blends structural, mechanical, electrical, controls, and roofing elements all in one occupied administrative building. The pre-qualification package included in the board materials shows what the process looks like. It includes a standard questionnaire, project-specific experience requirements, a scoring and evaluation framework, and an appeals process consistent with the Public Contract Code. This package is meant to serve as the model for any future project that meets the same level of complexity. So the requested action is for the board to adopt Resolution 3368, which will authorize the use of a contractor pre-qualification process for higher risk and technically complex projects. And I do request your passage.
Okay. Do we have any public comments on this item?
No public comments.
Okay, thank you. And any comments or questions from the board?
So move.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Whenever you're ready for the vote.
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Torres.
Yes.
Director Dinstead.
Aye.
Director Risby.
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, directors.
Okay, item C is a receive and file the September 2025 cash disbursement report. Mr. Bob.
This item was concurrently listed on the Finance Committee agenda on Monday. Typically, we would put these on consent. However, because they were concurrently listed, we've placed them on action so that the staff can give the presentation and the board can ask any questions and then consider approval. So with that, I'll turn it over to Spencer.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Okay.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
And since this was presented on Monday, I'll try to be a little bit more brief than I even was then. But of course, what's in your packet, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. This item addresses the September 2025 cash disbursement report. Western Water had total disbursements of approximately $23.7 million during September. 39% of that amount was for water purchases paid to Metropolitan Water District. Additional 3% was for water purchases paid to the City of Riverside, Elsinore Valley, and Eastern Municipal Water Districts. Staff requests that the board recommend to receive and file the September 2025 cash disbursement report. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay. Candace, do we have any public comments on this item?
No public comments.
Okay. You know I have to ask that, right? And I'm actually remembering to do it. Any comments or questions from the board?
So move.
We have a motion and a second. Whenever you're ready, please, the vote.
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Torres.
Yes.
Director Dinstead.
Aye.
Director Risby.
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, my My pages are sticking together here. Hang on just a second. Okay. We will move on to item 7D, receive and file a report on the Community Facilities District Number 88-1 and Community Facilities District Number 99-1 to comply with the Local Agency Special Tax and Bond Accountability Act.
Spencer will also give this report.
Okay,
It was concurrently listed on Monday's Finance Committee agenda as well.
all right.
Absolutely.
Just want to, I always do this just because of the disclosure. So council, I want to make sure of my participation, availability to be able to participate in this item, seeing how I am directly affected by 99-1 CFDs.
Yes, Board Member Dennstead, the Political Reform Act actually has a provision that allows you to participate, notwithstanding the fact that you are in or impacted by the CFD.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Western Water administers 2 community facilities districts, or CFDs, in our Murrieta service area, that being CFD 88-1 and 99-1. This item addresses the annual accountability report for CFDs to comply with Senate Bill 165. That requires the reporting of 2 items. First, the amount of special taxes that have been collected and expended, and second, the status of any project required to be funded by the bonds. The Senate Bill 165 report, which was prepared by Wilden Financial for each respective CFD, are in your packets today, and those fulfill those requirements. In summary, CFD 88-1 collected total assessments or taxes of $135,000 and expended a total of $132,000 approximately. CFD 99-1 collected total assessments or taxes of $156,000 and incurred total expenditures of approximately $151,000. To address the second requirement of Senate Bill 165 for both CFDs, improvements were completed in previous years, so there's no active projects. And I'd like to remind the board that the final maturity date of the bonds issued for these CFDs will be in October of 2030. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, just one second. Do we have any public comments on this item?
No public comments.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and make the motion to approve this. However, I kind of want to have a little bit of a put on the radar question, okay? While I understand in the big scope of things, this is not a lot of money that we're collecting at this point, but they're getting ready to go away. And we're not going to reissue these bonds, and we're not going to pull money out, and we're not going to extend the terms of this. So my question would be, and I apologize because I miss a lot of finance committee meetings now because I'm up in LA for Met. But at some point, are we going to have a discussion over the non-collection of this affecting customers in that area moving forward with CIP and with rates? I just, want to kind of put that out there as we're looking down the road, because I don't want it to come up at the last second and we haven't had the discussion at least, so.
I'll let Rick chime in here in a second, but yes, at the appropriate time, we will absolutely bring something forward through either the budget process or the capital planning process.
Okay, all right.
I think my question would be, well, to dig in a little bit more on what you're looking for. So these taxes go away in 2030. Any excess that we've collected between now and then will reduce what those final year taxes are, and then they just drop off the tax roll. So I want to, I think, dig in a little bit more on which information that you would be looking for as a
No,
broader discussion.
my question would be, what is going to be the loss for the customers for our cost center down there? Not, because I'm going to be celebrating as a tax person, payer, right, for property taxes, that my taxes are going to go way down because we're not collecting them. I'm going to have a party over that. But on the flip side, we've got a budget. And so I want to make sure, because these funds are used to slide into that budget. So are we having that conversation at some point, what this looks like, and are we making adjustments as we go down the road? Because again, I don't want this to flip,
Understood.
and then it's all gone, and then we're scrambling. I'd rather come up with a nice ease-in plan if we have to.
So I think I can directly answer that now. So what taxes we collect go directly to pay debt that's specific to those CFDs. Once the debt's gone and the taxes are gone, that doesn't impact our general budget for
Okay,
that center at all.
that's,
So there's no
that's
impact.
what I'm looking for. Okay. All right, no, thank you very much. I just wanted to make sure while it's on our radar and we look at this, because they're, you know, again, I'll be having a party when these are paid off. Okay, but I just want to make sure that we're looking at the big scope. So, and my motion still stands for
Second.
approval.
Director Torres, did you say second?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this item? No? Director Gardner, did you have one? No. Oh, okay. All right, I think we're ready for the vote. Oh, did I ask about public comments?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Shoot, I usually write it on here. Okay.
Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Torres,
Yes.
Director Dinstead,
Aye.
Director Risby,
Yes.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
I misheard.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item 7E, receive and file Western Municipal Water District's annual water and sewer capacity charges report.
Lynn Chi will provide this staff report. It was also concurrently listed on Monday's Finance Committee agenda.
Good morning, directors. This item was covered in the Monday committee meeting. I'm here to give a brief summary of my presentation. This item relates to the annual reporting of water and sewer capacity charge required by Government Code Section 66013, which requires separate accounting and annual reporting of capacity charges. According to the related Government Code section, our added facility charge and distribution system fee are within the definition of capacity charges. In the attachment, you'll find each capacity charge fund listed with a beginning balance, followed with capacity charges received, investment interest earned, funds spent during the year, and ending cash balance as of June 30, 2025. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Do we have any public comments on this item?
No public comments.
All right, and anything from the board?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Whenever you're ready for the vote, please.
Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Torres,
Yes.
Director Dinstead,
Aye.
Director Risby,
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Director.
All right, thank you. We'll go on to item F, receive and file quarterly investment report for the period ended September 30th, 2025.
Also concurrently listed on Monday's Finance Committee, Dan Delaney gave a presentation on Monday. I'm going to turn this over to Rick Aragon to provide some highlights of Monday's presentation.
Yes. So since Dan did this in detail on Monday with his accent, which makes it a lot more interesting, I'll try not to disappoint too much. So some key highlights. One, our main portfolio and the Vivo portfolio are fully compliant with the policy. That's a key aspect. The main portfolio increased slightly over the first quarter from 278 million to 282 million, and our yield is ticking up, which is what we would expect, from about 3.3% to 3.4%. More of the activity and attention was on our discussion of the Viva Trust, which actually went up by $1 million in the first 3 months, or about 4% for those 3 months, which would be annualized at about 12% if it continued on, going from 24.5 million to 25.5 million. Our actual results over the last 12 months were about 8%, compared to 11.5 from our hypothetical benchmark. So there was some discussion on Monday, a question from Director Gardner on, well, why is our actual performance less than the hypothetical benchmark? And a lot of that conversation focused in on the benchmark has a much larger portion of it from the S&P 500, which is very heavily influenced by the top 7 tech companies. You think Google, Meta, Microsoft, Tesla. And so one of the questions was, well, our diversified strategy, how much risk does that really reduce for us, if I can paraphrase it that way? Is it worth it? or should we change our strategy? And so one piece of information I was able to get between Monday and today to kind of quantify that is our strategy helps reduce the risk of those 7 companies, which have a huge impact on the overall market, by about 50%. So if those stocks dropped in value by half, the whole sort of stock market as a benchmark would drop by about 7%. Just from those 7 companies, the whole stock market, all thousands of companies all added together, the whole market would drop by about 7%. And our portfolio would drop by about 3.5%. So that's what it does by us being more diversified than just an S&P 500. That still leaves the question if we would desire to change, but I wanted to at least give some sense of what being more diversified in mid and small stack cap stocks does to reduce our exposure to those 7 companies in particular. With that, I'll open it up to any questions. The action is a receive and file.
Okay. Any questions?
I was going to ask if there's any public comment.
Oh, okay, yes. I haven't. Are there any public comments?
No public comments.
Okay, thank you.
Rick, thank you for that expanded answer. That's helpful. There was a bar chart in the presentation at committee that is not in the packet today, and it just showed across, since inception, the comparable fund did better than our VIBA Trust has done. Every measurement, 3 months, 1 month, 12 months, 10 years since inception. The trust has done very well. I don't have any complaint about where it is. It just struck me that there was somewhat of a noticeable gap between what the bogey fund produced and what we were producing. And I was just curious, the reason for the diversification is to reduce risk. And I was just curious, how much risk do we actually save? And Rick has answered that very well. So, thank you. And I'll move approval.
If I could add, I'm looking at the online packet. The presentation is in the online packet.
Yes.
I'm not sure why.
It's not in the book, but, and that's fine. But I just wanted everybody to understand, that's where the question came from. That just sort of jumped off the page at me. And so I asked the question.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? All right, do we have a motion to receive and file?
I did
You
move
did.
it. I don't think we have a
Okay.
second yet.
My goodness.
I'll second it.
All right. So we have a motion and a second.
Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Torres,
Yes.
Director Dinstead,
Aye.
Director Risby,
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we will move on to item 8A. Mr. Ballinger, do we have a report today?
I did want to let the board know that a new bill passed the legislature this last year that will require training. Fortunately, Western is already providing its ethics training to its executives, but one of the other provisions is that financial training will now be required of public officials, elected boards, and local agency executives. So obviously, BBK will be providing an e-alert about this with more details, and we're going to be working on arranging for those types of financial trainings to combine with our other ethics and sexual harassment avoidance training. So I wanted to alert you to that. Obviously, other bills are going to be coming down, but wanted to give them kind of piecemeal to you.
Thank you very much. And we'll move to, oh,
Can I go back to council?
of course.
Council, it was also brought up by Met Council, and perhaps this is something that you could come back with on next meeting for this board's knowledge, is the EPA and WOTUS on the rule and some of the changes and some of the things that are going on there. I think that's probably a good discussion to have here and get an update, because council is going to be updating us on that. So,
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, and now the general manager report, Mr. Barr.
Good morning again. I've just got a couple of items today. The Lake Matthews lower feeder shutdown was successfully completed. It was an 11-day shutdown, and I just want to thank our operations team for working diligently with both the Metropolitan staff and the Corona staff. On a daily basis, our operators were tracking Corona storage, and at no point did they get less than 84% of storage. So in 11 days, that's phenomenal. It was a lot of work that went into that, and so a special thanks to the operations team. We do have another Metropolitan shutdown coming up in early December, December 1st through December 7th. It's on the Mills treatment plants. We are well prepared for this. We are continuing to prepare. Both operations and strategic communication are working together to get the message out both to our retail customers and our retail agencies that will be affected. Those agencies include Corona, Temescal Valley, and Elsinore Valley, who get water from the Mills gravity line, Western's Mills gravity line. We will be able to provide water from the desalters to them as well. In the retail area, we have a comprehensive outreach plan. We will be asking the customers to dial back outdoor irrigation, suspend pool filling and all those unnecessary items for 1 week. Indoor usage will not be affected. A digital packet will be made available to the board. We do request that if you get questions or comments from customers, please send them back this direction via Craig. You can also have the customers directly contact customer service, communications, or anybody here at the district, actually. With that, we have high hopes that we'll get through this shutdown just like we get through every other shutdown. The operations, construction, and collection team right now as we speak is at Hawthorne Elementary. They are recruiting elementary schoolers to run backhoes and CCTV trucks and whatever else. It's a second year of participation. It's a good opportunity to both educate the community, the school about careers in water and wastewater, as well as provide some educational information about water awareness and whatnot. The Stratcom team pulled together some fun giveaways, so the children will be leaving with some swag as well. That concludes my stuff. I want to hand it off to Rick, who has an update on a director's request.
Yes, so in line with the previous comment from Director Denstead during MET meetings on forecasted budget and rate drivers going into the next year, where that forecast was now illuminating maybe a 12 and a 6% rate increase going in, at least as a heads up going into the budget season. There was possibly the opportunity of meeting directly with Met Finance staff to dig into this. And so I wanted to report Eastern CFO and I have locked down a meeting with Met Finance staff December 15th. We're getting some pre-questions over to them. We only have about an hour. Actually, it was a small miracle to get them since the next few months are their very busy season. But we do have that, and we'll be hitting them with all our hardest questions in preparation of the budget season. And so wanted to make sure the board knew we were on it.
When did you say that's going to take place?
December 15th.
Okay.
And last but not least, I'm turning over to Sarah, who has some good news and a whole bunch of hardware down there.
Good morning. You may have noticed some decorations on the dais this morning. So it's my pleasure to share that Western Water was recognized with top honors from the Public Relations Society of America Inland Empire chapter, including the Best in Show Award, which is the highest distinction of the program. During the evening, Western was well represented by our very own board member, Director Torres, and we did have one of our staff team members there as well, who's in the room, Nydia Doolittle. We were awarded for, in addition to the Best in Show, which was awarded for our Water for Every Moment video series, we also received recognition for innovative communications in our rate adjustment campaign for 2025. We received also an award for our social media program related to the Water for Every Moment short series. So really comprehensive recognition for that entire effort. And it really does highlight our commitment to our customers. That's well supported and guided by board direction, that we want to be engaged and relational with our community, which is what these awards reflect. These are also a reflection of the true team effort that a program like that requires. A lot of times our communications team who is in the room today to be appreciated, but really on behalf of the entire district. It took subject matter experts from our finance team, it takes our operations teams, our engineering groups, admin to help coordinate logistics of video shoot. We had, I think, over 20 staff participating, whether on camera or behind the scenes. So a really monumental effort, and just is a testament to what makes Western Water different, which is collaboration and a spirit of service that was really just displayed through these awards. And then I want to just leave with one final thought related to this award, is that they really reflect an important messaging shift that we've been offering to our community, which is really showing what it takes to deliver the drop behind the service. And that's what these videos highlight, as well as connecting to the fact that it's water that provides customer lifestyles. And so we're really proud to have this recognition from PRSA. So congratulations to the board and to our entire Western Water team. And we do have a few team members here. If we wanted to do a photo with the board, if we have time for that this morning, I'll leave that to the discretion of the board president.
Can I just,
Yeah.
I have a quick
Did you want to
comment.
Go ahead.
I just,
Mr. Torres.
I was in attendance, and I want to say, aside from just how proud I was to be there, and it was just Nydia and I, so we were, it was cool. But ultimately, at the end of, when I was leaving, people were like, well, the water districts have such a big budget. We don't have the same budget. They were hating. And, but I think you spoke to it. I think it's because we recognize the importance of making sure that our customers understand what's happening here, where their dollars are going, and that's a huge part of it. And I mean, I can't rave enough about our communications team and customer service experience team because they, like I said, aside from being so proud, it's really strong messaging. And we were up against real dollar. We were up against Riverside County. We were up against San Bernardino County. And I missed the Best in Show. I'm kind of bummed because I try to stay, right? But to know that we compete at those high levels with such a small but very mighty team is a testament to your direction, to Craig and Tim's direction on how we communicate these messages, and yeah, we're a board that recognizes that, and I think that's very important. So, congratulations.
Very nice. Yeah. Do we want to do the picture now? Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. was very exciting.
And that does conclude staff comments.
Okay, thank you.
And I will note that we were very efficient with our time, so we're trying to get you out of here. We know you have places to be.
Okay, we'll move to director comments and requests. First on the list is SAPA.
SAPA met yesterday, took 3 actions. One was there was a bunch of Proposition 1 integrated regional water management round 2 projects. 2 of those did not move forward. One was the cloud seeding program, so those funds were reallocated to the Calamasa Aquifer Storage Project and to a residential sewer conversion from septic tanks to sanitary sewer in the city of Rialto. And those are projects that have been pre-approved, but funding was not allocated to them. So now funding has become available, and they were the top 2. So that was done. It was a total of about $1.5 million, which was a significant amount of the cost of each of those 2 projects. So it's a big help for them. They also authorized the general manager to extend the existing agreement with West Coast Advisors. They're our political consultant in Sacramento. They do a really good job. So that was done. It's $117,000 a year. It's a 2-year contract, so $234,000. And lastly, we talked about where to hold SAPA's 50th anniversary. They looked at everything from the Citrus Heritage Park to the Mission Inn, and we settled on dinner as opposed to lunch. And we are going to Crestmore Manor, which is Riverside County Parks headquarters. It's a really nice facility. It's inexpensive. They've got caterers, and if staff desires, they can bring in their own caterers. And it's among the least expensive.
Wow,
The
that's
the other
surprising.
options are more expensive. Although I did volunteer, if they wanted to go to the Mission Inn, that I would spend the night before and the night of the event in the
help.
Amistad Suite.
And do you have a date for the event?
We do not. It will
Okay.
be in January.
Okay.
During the 51st.
Yes, of course.
In a couple of years, we can use Director Densted's home. She's about to pay off her CFD.
That's right.
Very nice. Okay,
So that's it for SAPA.
thank you very much. We'll move on to Metropolitan Water District.
All right, this is where I'm going to suck the air out of the room. Okay. Here we go. One of the big concerns at committee meetings and ultimately was passed at the board was the talking about our adoption of the ad valorem and having those conversations and making sure that we keep that on the books. So just to give you an overview, the ad valorem property taxes, right now we've got an estimated $4 billion with a B in outstanding bonds. So the ad valorem goes to paying down some of that debt. Without it, and without us collecting property tax and putting this on the books for a future collection, because we didn't adopt a rate, it's just our ability to be able to collect this. Without adopting this, we would be looking at a 25% increase on rates. Okay, so it's kind of a big deal. So that was adopted in, it passed. And then another thing that was brought to our attention as well is the fact that we were looking at our projected water sales are below what our actual water sales are below what we've projected to this point for the budget by 65,000 acre feet. So even with our budget adoption, because we elected to go a step down to the 1.3 million acre feet for sales for the year, we're now still drafting below. And conservation has some to do with that. But the discussion is going to be becoming to us of then what do we look at our future projection for sales and how do we accommodate the budget based on that if we continue to have declining sales. So one of the things that's going on right now is there is the business model that is being looked at and reviewed with a number of individuals. Craig is part of that review process and the looking at the overall modeling of what our business plan is, because we're going to have some serious discussions. We've got a lot of money that's being expected to be spent on capital improvements. I'm going to talk about some stuff that went through EOT for the electrical grid for Colorado River, and some significant investments that need to go there because that equipment hasn't been updated in 70 years. I mean, there's a big stuff. So we're looking at some significant stuff going on here. And last time I brought to you what our projection is for CIP for doing those capital improvements was a very large dollar amount. So looking at that, we're getting ready to get geared up. Like Rick said, the finance directors are getting to have a meeting, which is, I think, fabulous. But starting in February, we're going to start having these big discussions, and we're going to start having workshops, and we're going to start having some things. So some significant stuff is going to come down the pike. And one of the things that I would ask for the board's indulgence on would be that Rick at some point gets to come up in Metropolitan so I can go and have the hallway discussions with him to say, okay, what are we looking at? You just are seeing this. They're making pivots. Other factions are saying and suggesting things. So I need to be able to move quickly, and I need to make sure that it's in our benefit and our interest as I'm pushing us forward on the budget discussion. So I would say hopefully we're going to get a schedule out, and hopefully you can make your dance card available so that you and I can have some lifetime discussions as this is unfolding, because sometimes things get dropped at the last second, which is very commonly known by two entities. And I'm hoping that one has gotten a little bit better at doing that, but the other one has not. And so I need to be able to have some, like, okay, what does this mean? If we do this pivot, or we agree to this, or we don't agree to this, what's our position here? So this is going to be a very significant budget cycle. And remember, Metropolitan does a biennium. So when we adopt this budget, it's going to toll forward for the 2 years. And it could have some significant impacts to us and our rates, our customers, and what we're looking at. So I just kind of want to paint that picture for you as we move forward. And I'm probably going to be asking for a little bit of the CFO's time, sorry. But this is a big deal, and I want to make sure that I'm in the right position and advocating for us the best way that I can. Couple of other things. So we did have an interesting conversation, and the chair yesterday asked for the board's support. So he is standing up a committee over ag and tribal issues with our tribal partners, because we've got a lot of stuff that's going on, and we've got a lot of property out in the Palos Verdes area that has to do with these. The tribes have a significant portion on the Colorado River, and Colorado River discussions are starting to elevate. A request was out by the chair for anybody who could attend on Met's board for CRUA conference in Vegas in December. CRUA is the Colorado River Water Users Association. It's all 7 states of the Accord and the country of Mexico. And it's a huge conference, but Metropolitan needs to have a significant presence there for our discussion over what the takes are. There's been some suggestions that Arizona is taking a position, and it's not a positive one. And we're trying to be good players at the table and doing some things. So there's going to be a lot of hallway meetings and a lot of discussion and a lot of presence up. I plan on being in attendance at CRUA to kind of see all of this unfold, because there's going to be some decisions and some things that are happening at Metropolitan in relationship to those negotiations going forward, because deadlines are passing, decisions haven't come to fruition. And so the can is getting kicked, but we're getting into a danger zone where we certainly don't want, a ton of litigation filed over this issue by all the states and all the parties that are at the table, because that would just be a nightmare. Or we don't want the feds and the Bureau to start making decisions and making allocations and cuts that we aren't ready for, prepared for, and don't want to deal with. Because they could at any point step in at this time and say, well, guess what? You guys aren't playing nice, and we're going to make a decision arbitrarily, and this is what the cuts are going to be, and you're just going to have to deal with it. And then who knows what's going to happen. So this is also, we're at a significant pinpoint for this, to make some decisions and try to make some headway at this conference with everybody that's going to be in the room. It is a hugely attended conference. I've gone to it once before because it overlapped Aqua last year, so I didn't get to go last year. But there are a lot of people. It's 3 times as large as what an Aqua conference is. Yeah, so it's a very large undertaking. So I just want to put that on your radar. And then I have something this will be very entertaining for Director Torres. So we had conversations, and we're talking about our legislative platforms, our priorities, and those types of things. We talked about the update on the conservation campaign and what we're going through. And then they did a focus group with research with millennial and Gen Zers. And they talked about how can we become trendy in the platforms of communication to get that generation talking and appreciating and understanding what water means, right? And what metropolitan means. And the very entertaining thing, I started texting with my 25-year-old daughter, okay? And she said, no, they already got it wrong. It isn't about being trendy, it's about being edgy. And I went, okay, so what does that mean, and what would you suggest that Met does? And I said, talk to me about TikTok, talk to me about Snapchat. And of course, her comment to me was, don't you have people for this? And I said, yes, I do. I'm texting her right now. Okay. So God bless my daughter, who said, well, first of all, you got to incorporate the good sounds. When you're doing your videos, those have got to be sounds. And you've got to be edgy, and you've got to get the following so that you can do the video on your message. And I said, okay, so what do you suggest? If you were in my position, what would you suggest going forward? And so I suggest, she gave me the suggestion, I pushed it out at the committee, and everybody got a real hoot out of it. She said, first of all, what you should do is you should have a Gen Xer and a Gen Zer do a translation of each other's words, okay? Which would be hilarious, and sus came into it, so, right, okay? So we had a conversation about that. Very, very entertaining. So we did some of that. I threw out a Met challenge, and I said, we need to get on people's radars, and when you do the funny stuff, we should do an out with the old, in with the new with the general managers. They should be the first ones to kick this off, and they could do a funny thing. I talked about how if we want to get into talking about recycled water and talking about what we're doing and talking about all of the ventures and all the things that we're creating, then what we need to do is we need to have a conversation about recycled water. So we should start with somebody in a Cleopatra costume and talk about, hey, all water on the planet has been recycled at some point, right? And it started all the way back in this era. And you come up with different cups, and you could pass it off to the next person and the next generation in the costume and keep it going until you get modern day in the Stanley Cup, right? I mean, right? I mean, because that's what's kind of on everybody's radar right now. It's the hot thing everybody's trying to get. So I made those kind of comments. And then the other one was, you should do a videotaping of our staff up at Met asking Siri, what's Met? what's Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, and do the videotapes of, and put it on TikTok just to get the funny reactions like, no, you don't have it right, you know, or whatever they're going to respond to, or have them Google it, or have them ask Alexa, or whatever. But just come up with something like, what is Metropolitan, so we could kind of get out there and do some stuff. So just kind of an interesting conversation over platforms of how Metropolitan,
That's great.
I've taken stuff forward,
I
so,
just want to see bees in the trap.
you know, so very entertaining. And then there was talks over the legislative platform and the matrix coming out, what the conversations are, how new legislation is moving forward. And there has been some conversation. We're going to get more information over Eastern's bill for the proxy that went past signed. And we're going to be talking about what that looks like, what rules we're going to put in place at Metropolitan. So Eastern's bill went forward on the proxy vote and passed. And so now we have a proxy, but now we got to come up and create what's the guidelines, how do we comply with the proxy. So those are going to be issues. And then, of course, SB 72 came up, kind of like, what's the action plan after the fact? What are we going to do? How is this going to move forward? So those conversations took place as well. And then the big one.
Director, if I may,
Sure.
one thing that I I was watching a TikTok about is the one thing that is becoming very watched. I don't know. It's being watched are public comments. And Gen Z, Gen Alpha love to watch those. I don't know why, and sometimes they're controversial, sometimes they're funny, whatever it is. They like to see people like attacking the dais or really just public comment. And so I've made the suggestions that sometimes it's just worth highlighting a public comment. It could just all be positive ones, but ultimately that they really like to see public comment. Somehow it makes them feel involved.
Well, the one comment I didn't say, and of course Jamie will probably kill me, but that's all right.
Oh, we don't get very
'cause-
much.
'cause y'all know her. So she said, Mom, people like to laugh at old people saying stuff.
That too.
So I'm like, really? So again, these are suggestions that I pushed forward. So hopefully Metropolitan comes up with something very creative that they can just get all the staff involved in.
They just need 6 or 7
Right?
suggestions.
Right? Seriously. No, I got that one too. But my suggestion was
Stop
too
me
is
right
that we all have kids and they all tell us different things. And some of us know what our jobs are and some of them have no clue what our jobs are and what we do and how we're moving forward. And I said it would be really entertaining to have parents of children at home say, tell me what my job is. Tell me what I do every day. And let the kids give an explanation and have that go out there as a communication platform to be, a little on the edgy side. It might be entertaining. But, this is the things that we talk about and the budget, that money that we've got to push forward our efforts in conservation and getting our message out and trying to get people to understand what our challenges are. And then, of course, the big stuff was on engineering and operations and technology, the EOP committees. And one of the big deals is all of this transmission system. So I had 3 asks. Some of this was heard in closed session, so my asks were in closed session. However, a legal counsel said you need to make those asks out in open session, which I did. And they were received very positively. I had a lot of staff that came up to me, and I had a lot of my colleagues come up to me after the fact. So one of the things that I'm realizing is we're spending a huge amount on energy and transmission lines and generators and power grids and cooperations between Arizona and all these things, okay? I'm not in the power business. I haven't been in the power business. I'm in the water business. And if this is going to be a significant portion of what we're trying to accomplish and trying to navigate, then we need to get up to speed because I don't know what I don't know right now, right? And I said I was okay with being the dodo in the room, which is fine with me. We need to get an Energy 101 presentation or a workshop that's done so that we can understand the significant investment in dollars and what that means on the grid, what it means on Colorado River, and all those things. So that was one of the asks. one of the asks also was that there was a tremendous amount of engineers in the room, and they love to put together their graphics. And so I wanted a graphic or some kind of a storytelling board that shows, because we do the water drops, right? We show the water drops coming down, and we show people, and we communicate that forward. Well, show me the lightning bolt. Show me the energy that's going through the system and what that means. How does it go from point A to point B, and why does that matter to us? Okay, so I asked for that, so we need to be able to communicate this message forward to our public so they understand, why are you guys spending all this money on doing all this? You guys aren't in the power business. Well, yeah, I guess we kind of are. And then the other thing that I asked for, because I've turned this down a number of times, and you and I, Mike, have had a conversation about this, was the Edison tour. I haven't been able to figure that out on my calendar, so I said perhaps Metropolitan and Edison need to get a nice cooperation going to put a special tour together so that we can go up there. Is it Big Creek?
Yeah.
Yeah, to go up to Big Creek and kind of get in depth, like, this is what this really means and how it's going to affect all of us. And so those were the big asks. They agreed to that. That was good. The other thing, and this is a conversation that I'll have with staff here, one of the things that got put on our radar was the Foothill Agreement. And so Ryan knows exactly what I'm talking about. And this is going to be a little sticky. So Foothill has now come in as an agency, as a member agency, and said, hey, Metropolitan, under all of these agreements, under the original annexation agreements, we have a problem. They are operating a line which I believe is just over a mile outside of their service territory for metropolitan facilities that they've been operating, maintaining, paying for, and everything else. And they're asking now for Metropolitan to assume the service on this. And they're asking for credit for the past years. Now, granted, I understand Foothill's position because they're in the middle of the fire. So they lost a lot of facilities. They've got some delivery problems. They've got some budget issues. They've got some serious stuff going on. So the question was then asked, out of 77 service connections, 5 agencies operate outside of their own boundaries, met stuff. So we've now asked for that to come back to say, okay, talk to us about the 5, because if you do for one, then do we need to look at all, and then what's the financial impacts on that? Because ultimately, I believe, and I'm looking for a nod from Ryan, I believe that staff's estimate cost of operating this line was like $500,000 a year on an annual cost basis, if not accounting for if they rolled back for credit. On Met's budget, that's nothing. But when you're talking about a potential of 5 agencies now coming and asking for the consideration, what's the impact? What's that mean? What's the additional responsibility? How much are we looking at? So that has been asked to be brought back to not only the Engineering and Operations Committee, but also to the Finance Committee to look at the implications. Could these be significant dollars moving forward to impact our budget? Because now is the time to have that discussion as we roll into next cycle. So just a couple of things to put on your radar, but I kind of need to have a conversation about what's our position, what we're looking at, how do we need to address this? Because again, we're about the family and the collective, right? And taking care of everybody, but I want to make sure we're not shooting ourselves in the foot. So that, I think I've given you enough out of the fire hose.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff, a lot of things going on. And I have also, I had a thought when I was having a conversation with Tim, was it this morning, last night? I can't remember now. But perhaps when I'm coming off of the Met meetings and we have a board meeting following it, I might highlight a slide or two out of the packets and the presentations to be able to go through some stuff so you guys can see what I'm looking at. And I'm looking at, the billions of dollars that are rolling forward and the decisions that we're making and how it's impacting us and what kind of decisions we need to make in the future. So especially on the financial side, as we're talking about the budget. So I'm going to try to see if I can put together and show you something and point out a couple of things to say this is what we're up against. But I'll leave it there, and I hope you don't have a lot of questions.
I do have a couple, but does anyone else have any?
No. Okay.
Okay, so just out of curiosity, was this a more full than normal? I know your meetings are always full and committees and all that. It just seems like a lot more came out of this meeting than maybe others.
Yes and no, because things are coming to a head. Well, because we're also missing 2 meeting days. So, okay, so normally we would have some follow-up committees that would go into next week for Thanksgiving. So those have been canceled because of the holiday. And then for next month's schedule, because of the holidays, we're only going to have the 2 meeting days. So they're kind of doing what we're doing because we've canceled ours. We packed stuff here, and then we'll pack stuff on the back end of December, right? So they kind of smushed a bunch of stuff, but we do have some critical decision-making things coming on. You know, like Colorado River is at the head, and budget is getting ready to ramp up. So a lot of a time come February, our calendars are going to be full. They're going to have a lot of workshop days. We're going to have a lot of things that are going to be moving parts. So they're kind of gearing us up for get ready for the schedule. Because while we may remove a couple of meeting days, we're going to slam you at the back
You're
end.
gonna pay for it.
And you're going to pay for it. So I'm decided that I'm just going to bring a sleeping bag up to Met and just hang out. So there it is.
Okay, so way back at the beginning, I shouldn't say way back, at the beginning of your report,
Yes.
you talked about the ad valorem. Was that conversation because there was discussion about not collecting that anymore?
Yes,
Or-
LA as an agency has always advocated for, they do not want to put this on their property tax on the backs of their customers, their ratepayers, and they've never been in support of the ad valorem.
So that was item 8-2, did it pass?
Yes, it passed. So that's just for us to be able to continue the collection and look at the 10 years, because it went out 10 years on that. Later on, as part of the budget discussion, we'll have a discussion. So we increased that from the 0.0000035, right, to the 0.0007. Again, that collection is not collecting all the money that we could, because we could go up to a higher percentage to be able to offset state project monies, collections, debt service, all of those things, because we're not collecting. There's a gap of how many hundreds of millions of dollars? Do you recall? $300 or $400 million, okay, that there's a gap of collection, that's how our rates, we end up having to figure out how we're gonna fix the gap, right? And that goes over to revenue generation. So that has always been LA's big push, is to not accept that. Our question then becomes, well, LA, 2 alternatives are, okay, fine, you can go ahead and give us what the collection would be and write us a big check, and you don't have to impose the ad valorem on your folks, okay? So go ahead and write the big check and just kick it over, which I'm thinking they're not gonna do. Or you then fight with all of us because we don't want to do a 25% spike.
Right.
So you can't hurt the rest of the family because you don't want to do this. And it comes down to their argument being, at least my perception of their argument is that this isn't equitable. Well, I believe it is, because the people that can afford this are the property owners that own property. These aren't translating to people that are not in that scenario. And so an example was asked yesterday to give, and I thought it was a great ask. So on an assessment of $1 million home, their property tax collection, I think, was $70. I'm sorry, if you can own and afford $1 million home, you can afford to pay us $70. And even if we raised it up and it cost you $100, I'm pretty sure you could spend the $100 on your property tax because you owed $1 million home. So it is, in my mind, the most equitable because it's based upon your values. And if you're not a property owner, you're not paying that incremental tax. Now, there could be arguments on both sides, but again, right, but again, it's divided over a greater pool. So again, the incremental share that you would be paying even as a renter. But Ally's argument has always been to the fact that they don't believe it's equitable.
Okay. I was just curious why it had come up again. I mean, I knew there were, when the budget came around, there would probably be more discussions, but I'm just curious what motivated that item.
Well, this decision was just to not confuse people. This decision was to be able to collect it and put it on a 10-year forecast.
Yes.
Okay? The decision later will be to adopt the rate and put that in the forecast. That'll come out during the budget discussion. So this is gonna come around for a discussion, and then there's gonna be another push as to why the rate should be reduced again or not collected, or, you know, that's where the discussion will come.
Okay.
Okay?
I had one other question. You mentioned the Ag and Tribal Committee that is being suggested to be formed. Is that only for looking at the Colorado River issue? Or, because I'm
No,
thinking-
no, I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that's, because ag is a significant thing that we've got to deal with. So ag out in the Palo Verdes area and the fallowing of the fields and doing everything. So I think what the chair is trying to do is just get a group that talks about all the outgoing issues and outlying issues so that we can have some discussion around the table to figure out how we're going to move through these things, you know, fallowing fields, paying for various different things. And I think he really just wants to stand this up because there are a lot of tribes that come and say, you're not having dialogue with us. And so I think that's to create a path for the dialogue and to set something up specifically to address those concerns, those issues, and to schedule meetings and have a come to the table talk.
Okay. I just, in my own small mind, hoping that it will be more than just Colorado River, because I know with Delta Conveyance, there's pushback from some of the tribes. They don't feel that they're being treated fairly for Delta Conveyance. So if that committee hopefully has a broader view, not just the Colorado River issue. but-
Well, you got to think about too, the separation of areas, because the Delta has its own committee and its own issue. They've got a whole commission and authority up there. So, and we've got people that are appointed to that at Metropolitan. So you got to, we'll see how this hammers out, and we'll see what he stands up. He's already assigned people, and he's told us, if there were other people that were interested. I did not raise my hand to volunteer because I sit on 7 committees already, okay? So, because there are people that are intimately involved in that, and so I'll see what it stands up and how the discussion unfolds, and I'll bring some more information once they
Okay.
start getting that up and running to see what they're gonna tackle and how they're gonna address it.
Okay.
You know, and the chairperson that was suggested, moved forward, was Director Cynthia Kurtz. She's a representative out of Pasadena, and I have a great relationship with her, and she is very well versed and a longtime board member of Metropolitan. So she's a previous city manager for Pasadena, and she knows what she's been doing out there on all those negotiations and dealing with that part of it. So I'm sure there'll be some good discussion.
Okay, awesome. Any other questions, comments on Met?
Yeah, just a quick comment, and it relates to the ad valorem tax, and it goes back to the first thing you said, Brenda, about sales are down.
Yes.
And so most of Met's revenue comes from commodity sales. It's a very significant portion. And as a business model, that's a bad business model if your sales are not increasing. And that's where Met is stuck. They need to change the business model to increase fixed cost revenue, and reduce variable revenue. And the ad valorem tax is a way to do that. And it is controversial. The city of Riverside does not take Met water, has
Yeah.
hardly ever taken any Met water. They can, but they have not. And the ad valorem tax is paid by property owners in the city of Riverside. And it would be the same argument that LA has. Nonetheless, for Met to survive, they really, I think, have no choice but to continue increasing the ad valorem tax ideally to the maximum.
Yeah,
And
you're
it's not
gonna get a-
popular,
Yeah,
but
you're not gonna get a disagreement with me, because obviously, we've got a problem with our business model, right? We're basically paying people for conservation and telling them not to buy our product. I mean, that's basically what it is. And so we've definitely got to figure out how we're going to solve that problem, and that's why all these discussions have happened. We need to change our business model and how we look forward and how we're going to meet the future, right? Because, again, we did a very conscious effort to reduce our projection of sales in this budget to go to the 1.3. And now we're 65 behind that,
Yeah.
even. And
And that was a hard lift to get
Yes.
that little increase, and it will be a hard lift to get
Yes.
bigger increases.
yes, so,
But they still have to
Yes.
do it.
yes.
So, good luck, have fun.
Thanks.
Okay, no, thank you. The next one is Chino Basin Water Master, and that meeting is tomorrow.
It is tomorrow, yes.
The advisory and the board meeting are both tomorrow. And moving on to CDA, there was a meeting on November 6th, and it was they called it a special meeting because we didn't have like our normal agenda, but we had a Chino Basin Water Master update. And I was very appreciative of Director Gardner attending that with me, because some of the conversation crosses over into Chino Basin Water Master. So it was really good to have him there. There is a PowerPoint that they presented that day, and I just wanted to, one of the slides that stuck out to me that would be probably interesting to all, the program benefits of the Chino Basin Desalter Authority. Protect the Santa Ana River water quality, and that includes legal protection, cleanup and use of degraded Chino Basin groundwater, controlled overdraft, hydraulic control, and new yield to the Chino Basin. And it enables the Chino Basin Maximum Benefit Program, which included 3 different kind of sub-points on that. So if you're interested, I'm sure the PowerPoint is probably on their website. If not, Tammy I had asked her to print it out for me, which she very graciously did. So I thought it was an interesting meeting. We did not, although it shows a closed session on the agenda, we did not end up having a closed session. It was strictly this discussion. And it's happening because of some of the concerns, or it's coming to kind of everyone's attention at this point because some of the concerns of Chino Basin Water Master and some things they're looking at going forward. So that was the reason for it, but I thought it was very helpful. And we had a review here, which was also very helpful for me, to go over just kind of the basics of Chino Desalter Authority, why it's there, how it was developed, and those kinds of things. So that was that. RCRA is tomorrow. Okay, yes, so that's November 6th. I'm planning to try to go to that. No, it's not November 6th, Laura. Tomorrow is the 20th. Thank you. WRCOG.
WRCOG, so I attended a sponsor luncheon. Fazia was there as well. It was well attended.
Good.
One of the things that we're looking at for General Assembly is we need a couple more sponsors. So if you guys have ideas of somebody who hasn't sponsored General Assembly, again, our keynote speaker this year is going to be Tony Hawk. So it's going to be very interesting.
I got 5 on it.
You know, little different generation, right? So it's going to be, we've got a little bit of a sponsorship gap. And so we need to figure out how we can close that gap, and that's why we had this luncheon. We did actually get a new sponsor, and I was pleased to see that Kaiser Permanente is finally sponsoring our event and is throwing some money. And I think we're going to be naming a cocktail after them. So, because that was the
That's
little
healthy.
contest that we did. So I don't know if it's a mocktail or a cocktail, but we'll find out. Okay, maybe I'll have a little fruit juice in it. I don't know. So we're kind of in that spot. So if you guys have suggestions for people that we can reach out to that may be interested in sponsoring General Assembly and buying a table or doing something else, please let me know or send something into staff over at WRCOG so they can chase it down. And otherwise, we'll have our regular meeting at the first part of December.
I do have bad news. Tony Hawk is old.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes, but he acts young.
But he acts young. He's got a lot of stuff going on. People play his video games. You know, there's all kinds of different things. So it'll be interesting.
Well, he's quite the entrepreneur.
And quite honestly, it was the only speaker that my kid knew out of the list. So she did know his name. So there it is.
Etnies are coming back.
So
Okay.
Okay.
How about Sarah?
Did not meet this month. We have a meeting for next month on the calendar. We'll see.
Time will tell. Okay, December is a question mark. And
Aqua, so we did have our Region 8,
Oh,
9,
that's
and
right.
10 event down in Irvine. And I am pleased to report, so sorry, Laura, because you weren't able to attend, but
no.
I am pleased to report that we made Aqua history again as the largest regional program to date.
Really?
We had a sold-out crowd. The room was packed, and we had some phenomenal speakers that came in. So I was really pleased with the turnout. I was really pleased with the audience. The panels were fantastic. And then, of course, it was really nice to hear Ken Calvert speak and give all of the information that he did, the things that he is doing. I put a question forward to him over heli hydrants and getting some federal funding and dollars. And what did he say, Michael, what funds did he feel qualified for heli hydrant? Was that? I know, I can't remember now. Was it out of WIFIA or something? Something, but he said that his belief was, and maybe we need to circle back with his office, but his belief was that one of the federal programs absolutely would qualify under that. So maybe that's something we need to chase down to figure out if we can expand and do something along those lines and get some federal dollars to try to figure that out. So, but ultimately it was a really, really good program.
Did they record any of it?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so. We didn't have any equipment in the room to record it, right? Yeah, no, we didn't have any video record, so sorry, but it was a good program.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad it was a success.
No, it really was. It really was a success. And then, obviously, we have fall conferences coming up for the first week of December. So we expect a really large turnout for Aqua down in San Diego. So I look forward to all of you attending down there. We'll be doing introductions of the new officers coming in. Carol Lee from Rancho is now our vice president, and she'll be starting in January. So they'll be doing a big intro at the end, and Kathy Green will be leaving, and Ernie Avila will be coming in as president, and so the turnover will take place at fall conference.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go to, unless there were any questions, we'll go to director's comments. Director Gardner, do you want to start?
I have nothing.
Okay. Brenda, you're not allowed any today.
No, I know. I think I've gone way above and beyond,
I'm totally kidding.
So it's all good.
That's it?
I mean, I attended the Veterans Day Parade. Thank you to City of Marietta for doing such a wonderful turnout. And if you've never gone out there, put this on your calendar for next year. The Field of Honor is quite a sight to see with the flags. There's over 2,000 flags that they plant out there. People sponsor the flags, and then they collect them at the end to take them home for their service members, for their loved ones, for honoring those veterans in their lives, or just paying it forward. And it is quite a sight to have some perspective on, so.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, Director Torres?
Yes. Just for the next 45 minutes. Kidding. No, I'm not as busy as Director Dunstead. I want to just, last time I reported, we were going to go to the Tim Strack Park groundbreaking, or grand opening, excuse me, which I did, and it was absolutely beautiful event. They have it's like a firefighter theme, which I think is super cute, but it's also sitting in this, like, I guess, nook within some communities, like behind homes. I thought it was a perfect placement for a park. It's a small park, but it was beautiful and very well attended. For Veterans Day, I think everyone saw the news about the Flag for Every Hero being canceled due to the government shutdown. But I got lucky that I was able to participate with the Carpenters Union to place, I think it was like about 3,000 flags. Very small area, comparably very small area, but it was good to not have missed that event, because I do it every year, biannually. So beautiful, and again, hopefully everyone had a beautiful Veterans Day. And like mentioned before, I went to the PRSAIE awards meeting and was able to look like I did something, because I went up there and took pictures. But very proud to be, very proud to be there. I was amongst my colleagues at the county, so being able to stand up with Western and be recognized for all the work that we do was cool. I wanted to thank those of you who heard me. The last meeting, we had a food drive with Director Rizvi's, the nonprofit she partners with. We fed over 200 families this last Saturday. We started at 9, and by 9:45, all the food was gone. So it was, and so all of you that supported, thank you very much for that. And to keep it going, I will be supporting and attending two drives. There's a turkey drive on Saturday at Casablanca Home and Neighborly Services. If you know anyone interested in volunteering, but really if they need a meal for Thanksgiving. And then on the 24th, I think that's a Monday, there's a ham drive. FYI, hams are a lot cheaper this year than turkeys. Turkeys are at $40 right now, and that's wholesale.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea.
It's crazy. So there will be a ham drive. It's so bad. And that will be on the 24th at the Community Settlement Association in Eastside. Same, if you know anybody, you do need to register for that. People do need to register for that, but they can do so through the Community Settlement Association. And then, just happy Thanksgiving. I hope everyone enjoys their families. I hope those of you who have kids that are off all week have a plan in place. It just hit me today that I'm like, oh my God, my kids are home for a whole week. What am I gonna do? But overall, happy Thanksgiving, and I will see you all at Aqua.
Okay. Director Rizvi?
So I did attend the WRCOG event with Director Dunstead, and I was surprised to see so many people show. I'm like, it was supposed to be for sponsors, but it was a good turnout, and it was a good event. I really liked it. And then the Aqua event was amazing. The speakers, I'm like, get to know so many people from other regions. And even the food was just
great.
No, the food was good.
remarkable. I was like, okay, I've never had such fancy food at any Aqua event. I was like,
The food was good.
that was really from breakfast to
Marriott did a
lunch.
nice
It
job.
was, they did a great job. So it was kudos to your team. It was a great event.
Even though we had to move everything inside because it
It
poured
was
rain.
pouring, yes.
Yeah.
poured
yeah,
rain,
yes.
but yes.
No, it was a great
It was
event, and the speakers and panels were just very interesting. So, great job. And then, yes, we were able to partner with the tourists for the food drive. As you all know, that I run a food bank, and things have been so busy there. Hopefully, now that with the shutdown, things will get better. But we've been able to, help a lot of families, and we will be having a turkey giveaway this Saturday at Corona High School. We chose that location because it's accessible for a lot of people to be able to walk through it there. So we are hoping to help 400 families, and we are partnering with Corona CNUSD. All the teachers and administration will be coming and helping and volunteering for us. So we're looking forward to. If you know anybody in that area, we do not require for any documentation. They all just drive up or walk up and get food. So, and that's about it. And unfortunately or fortunately, I will not be attending Aqua. I am taking a trip with my daughter to see some Christmas markets in Eastern Europe this year.
Nice.
So I will as well. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, and yeah.
Whatever.
So, well,
Whatever.
we'll miss you all, but, and that's about it. Thank you.
Aw,
Yeah, we'll
very
be in San
good.
Diego.
That's right.
Right.
We will.
Yeah.
We
Eat the
will.
seafood.
Okay. So I just have a couple. I did attend the Flaybob Veterans event on the Saturday before Veterans Day, and I wasn't able to stay too long. It was a very warm day, and I just was not feeling quite up to snuff. So my husband and I went, and it's very long. It's along their whole runway there. They've done this for more than a couple decades. And it's super well attended, and they have fly-ins, and they have vendors, and they do a program like in the middle of the day, and it's very patriotic, and it's a wonderful event. But we drove in, we parked at one end, we happened to be able to catch a tram that took us almost to the far end of it, and Habitat for Humanity, which I serve on that board, we had a booth there because we're finally breaking ground. Maybe this year, I'm hoping it's going to be before the end of the year, on the 26-home single-family veterans neighborhood in Jurupa Valley. So that has been a long time coming, really ridiculously long, but it's going to happen finally. So I was able to say hi to them, say hi to a few people, and then we trammed it back, and that was the extent of, I didn't even work the booth, which was weird for me because I've done it the past few years, but anyway, that is a wonderful event if you ever get a chance to go, and it goes most of the day. It was like 9 to 3 or 9 to 4, so even if you just go at the beginning or the end, just stay for an hour or two, you can see most of it. And their new cafe, or I should say their reopened Flaybob Cafe that's been there for years, and Flaybob's a local airport, small airport in Jurupa Valley, in case you aren't familiar with it. It's under new ownership, and it's the owner of the Riverside Airport Cafe, who has received all kinds of accolades, and I think they are labeled as a Blue Zone restaurant in Riverside. So I don't know if they're bringing all that blue. I'm actually going there for lunch soon, like today, and so I'll let you know. I attended the Jurupa Valley State of the City on November 13th. It was well done. Brian Berkson is the mayor this year, and I wish there had been higher attendance, but there were a lot of people there. It's like, it's so hard to get folks to get energized to go and at least once a year hear what your city's doing. It can be very frustrating for me. Anyway, I attended the Santa Ana River Water Company board meeting last evening and was able to present them with a proclamation from all of us for their 100 years, which their anniversary was actually in March of this year. Just remarkable that they started that long ago and that they're still going. So I was glad to be able to see them and present that. And I think they were very, very appreciative of it. And we took a picture and all that good stuff. So I think that was it, other than I wanted to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's always one of my favorites because first of all, most people get 4 days off, but you don't have all the hustle and bustle of the present opening, which I love to do, and the present buying and who for what, and it's just, you just come together hopefully with your family and friends and just enjoy that attitude of gratitude. And so I wish that for all of you. And that'll conclude my comments. Does anyone have any requests for future agenda items?
Yes.
Okay, all right. No, go
Two things. One, well, I guess I just want to make sure that we're going to be on the right side of this. Are we doing something for Devin as he's leaving Met and retiring? So are we doing something that I can present or? Okay, so because I just want to recognize his many years of service. It was brought to our attention yesterday, 28 years he's been at Met, and he thought he was only going to be there for 5.
Oh.
So 28 years, and he's done a bang-up job. I've got a lot of respect for him, and just want to make sure we recognize his contribution and his service. And then the other thing is actually something that has generated some thought. It's actually Director Torres's fault. So she got the juices flowing and made me think about this. And then I saw a legislation piece that concerned me. So my ask is, I would like to have a discussion. If we need to bring it back for discussion and give direction, that's fine, council. However you'd like to do this, but I'd like to have a discussion about our low-income assistance program. And I'd like to get some stats over what our program has done over the last couple of years. How many people have we helped on average? What kind of money we're doing? What this means, and then talk about the legislation that's out there right now, and if it's going to whammy us or not, or cause problems, or where it's sitting, if it's in suspense, if it's moving, if it's dead, whatever that is. Michael knows what I'm talking about, and how that may affect or not affect our program. So I just want to kind of have that discussion. And the reason I'm asking here is because I'd really like for it to be here so I can be a part of the discussion, because when you guys put it to committee, I can't go because I'm at Met, because you guys have given me another assignment. So it's really hard for me to be in 2 places at once, and I don't want to sacrifice one for the other. So if we could kind of have that little discussion here, however you'd like to address it in council, if that's clear or not clear, or if you want to bring it back for discussion, then we figure out what to do. But that's kind of what my objective is.
We'll discuss it and we'll propose it so
Okay.
that you can be here.
So
Okay.
if I get concurrence from my colleagues, then,
That sounds good.
okay? So that's what I would like to talk about.
Okay, any other requests for future agenda items? No? We have information item, investment report. Our next meeting is not until Wednesday, December 17th at